On this lovely day, we're going to compare what's called weighted averages, and we're going to compare that to our standard average. So first off, let's define what is a weighted average. So it is an average, so we're adding a bunch of stuff and we're still dividing by the total number, but where the individual terms are not worth the same. They're not worth the same. So let's take, for example, your syllabus. Like I said, 10% of your grade is going to be assignments, and 30% of your grade is going to be quizzes, and 60% of your grade is going to be tests. So if you had to make a choice, because you are running out of time, where would you spend most of your time? You would spend your most of the time making sure your tests are the most amazing tests you've ever had, okay? Because those ones aren't worth as much, at least in terms of the raw score. So make sure you're super precise on those ones. Okay, so let's walk through and see an example here of Hafiz's report card. Some of you know that you can have a weighted GPA because of the way the credits are. Now this one is just a hypothetical, so this is not the same as our school here. But because of the nature of keyboarding, it's a very basic. Here it's only weighted worth 1. You only get 1 credit for it. AP Calculus will say for this is going to be worth 5, Honors English 4, and these CP classes are 3. Again, this is not representative of our school. This is just a hypothetical. Okay, so notice that Hafiz got these grades, a C, A, B, B+, and a C-. And when you put it as a grade point, C is worth exactly 2, A is worth 4, B is 3.0, B+ is 3.33, and C- is 1.67. So what we want to do is see, well, what if we just go through and we say, oh, well, what's his GPA? A lot of people will just add these up and divide by 5. So let's just show that work real quick, adding those together and dividing by 5. Remember that this X with a bar above it means average. So we just take the 5 terms, add them together, divide by 5. And we get approximately 2.8, but actually that can be an exactly equal to 2.8. Exactly 2.8. Now, let's see what a weighted is going to actually be like. Instead of adding up the number of terms, what we're going to actually be doing is adding up the number of credits to see how many of these, so how much it will be worth. What we see is that we have, for keyboarding, you get 1 credit, and you got 2 points from that. So what we do for the weighted average is we say 1 credit times your grade, times the 2. The next, in AP Calculus, it's 5 credits times the 4. Next, 4 credits times the 3. Next, 3 credits times the 3.3. 3 credits times 3.33. And lastly is going to be 3 credits times the 1.67. And what do we divide by here? Not the number of classes, but the number of credits that you could have earned. The number of credits that you could have earned. Why? Because if you look at this, 2 is half of an A, right? An A is 4.0. So that means instead of earning the full credit, in a sense, they're only kind of earning half the credit because of that grade. This guy here, they earn all the credits from that because of the 4. And so this is essentially over here telling you what part of the credit they are earning. What part of the credit they're earning. Now you still are given the full credit, but all we're doing is calculating GPA based on the part that you could have earned. So what we have to do is add up the total number of credits you could have had. So this right here is 10, and 16. Adding up the total credits, 16. So if we look and answer part A here, calculate the standard average. We already said that. The standard average is 2.8. However, the weighted average is going to be approximately, we'll change this one here, to 3.06. So notice what this corresponds to. According to the scale in the book, a 2.8 is a B minus, and this here is going to be a B going to a B plus. So what makes these different? Excuse me, how and why are they different? We see that the actual weighted GPA is a little bit higher, primarily because AP Calculus is worth so much, and they did well there, okay? Because it's worth so much, it gravitized it up some. All right, here's what your next thing is. What would happen, let's go back to the original data, and let's just pretend that that Hafiz got an F in keyboarding, okay? So you're gonna calculate the standard average and weighted average by substituting in a 0 right here, and calculate your standard and weighted average based on a 0 instead of a 2.0. All right, let's take a gander at this next one here about concert tickets. Alexis wants to buy tickets to a concert, but the ticket prices were $20, $30, and $100. There should be a dollar sign there, sorry. Being a math scholar that she was, she wrote a scathing letter to the concert promoters. I can't believe that you would price your tickets so that the average price is $50. How can teenagers ever afford to go? So the concert promoters said, "Ha ha, mon chéri, you are incorrect. My dear math scholar, you are mistaken. The average price is nearly half of what you calculated. Please see the table and calculate weighted average." And so, how did she come up with her conclusion? So Alexis looked at just the ticket prices divided by 3 categories, got $50. Ka-chow. There's her arsenal of math facts. Now, how are the promoters coming up with their number, which is about $24 and something cents? Good, so instead of looking at simply what each individual category costs, what the ticket promoter said, well, let's look at the total amount of money possibly that we can earn. $20 times 1,000 tickets, so there's 20,000 tickets. Then here's another 15,000 or 150,000, 15,000. And then this here would be another 2,000. So now what we need to do is divide by the total availability right here. So 1520 is what we divide by. 1520. Again, it's about gravity. When it comes to it, yes, it's true that these are expensive tickets, but the amount of money they make from that is only $2,000. The amount of money they're going to make from the small contributions here, using with the $20 price tag, that's going to be $20,000, which means this one up here is 10 times more weighted than this one down here, despite this price tag there. So in the end, $24 and about 34 cents here. So they took into account the different weight there. Now your next thing to do is we are just going to make a few adjustments. Each time all we're going to do is go back to the original table and just make one change. So here, now there's going to be 40 tickets available there. And we're going to see how much that takes the price up a little bit. Then we're going to take that back to 20. And then say that there's a bigger venue. Now we're going to go to 1,500 here. See how that changes the average price there. So now let's take a gander at C, D, and E here. So the average, how would the average change if we were to add 40 tickets to this 20 here? So can we make this 40 instead of 20? So all I've done was change that. This 20 becomes 40, and notice that the total amount there also goes up to 1,540. And so when we do that, we end up getting $25 and 32 cents.
Now let's look at this next one. Instead of being 1,000, so here's the original. Instead of $20 having 1,000 availability, now it's 1,500. Notice the 500 here and the 220s there. So I reset this one back to 20. Now this goes up by 500, so now it becomes 2020. And our end result is approximately $23 and 4 cents. Now lastly, again, all that changes here. We reset this one to 100, excuse me, 1,000, and this one doubles. So we're going to see what happens there. $25.49. Now let's see about how weight works. So notice that when I double this right here to become 40, so only adding 20 tickets, it brings us up about $1 from here. Notice over here that if I double this to now become 1,000, so I've added 500, here I've added 20, here I've added 500, and yet the price increase is almost the same. This is almost exactly $1, and this one's just slightly more than $1. So although this has increased by a significant amount, it's this 100 that would pull it much higher. So if I added, another 100 or 1,000 here, these ticket prices would shoot up. All right, and that concludes this lesson on weighted averages.